Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Living with the Times. We are now in Parshat Bereishit, starting the Torah again. And let's look at one of the millions of insights that we could find in Parshat Bereishit. The sixth day of creation ends with the words, Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Boker, Yom HaShishi. Like all of the 6 days of creation, and it was evening, and it was morning, the sixth day. And then begins the description of Shabbat. Vayachulu hashamayim va'aretz v'chol tzva'am. And God completed the heavens and the earth and all of their hosts. So what we see here is, and I'm going to mention first that in the story of creation, the name, four-letter name of God, Yud, K, Vav, K, does not appear. Only the name Elokim. Elokim is the gematria, the numerical value of Ha-Teva, of nature, 86. And it represents that the creation of the world is the unfolding of the natural world. And the name Yud-K, Vav-K does not appear at all. But here, at the end of the sixth day and the beginning of the seventh day, you have the four-letter name of God in an acronym. Yom HaShishi, meaning it was evening, it was morning, and then Yom HaShishi, that is the Yud and the Hey. And then Shabbat begins, Vayachulu hashamayim, the Vav and the Hey. And so here, this is the first time that you have an acronym of the four-letter name of God in the story of creation. And that is very significant because in the retelling of the story, in the what's called the second account, there it says that Hashem Elokim created the heavens and the earth. So the name Yud-K Vav-K was there all the time, but it was, we'll call it in the background. There's a verse that says, Shemesh u'magein Hashem Elokim. The sun and its shield is Hashem Elokim. Elokim is the shield, but the sun, the giver of light, is Yud-K Vav-K. So that this name is ever present, but in the creation of the world, the creation of nature through the name Elokim was in the forefront. But here we have the significance that the acronym are the last two words of the sixth day and the first two letters of Shabbat. So this connects the 6 days of creation with Shabbat. The 6 days of creation represent the physical, material world, and Shabbat represents the more spiritual, the more mystical, elevated levels of the world. So here, the fact that this name is an acronym that ties together the 6th day and the 7th day is very, very significant. And we see that this is actually the purpose of all of the mitzvot. All of the mitzvot of the Torah, almost all of them involve either a physical action, a physical object, or speech. And here speech is considered an action. So all of the mitzvot are involved in the physical world. But of course, our intent, our purpose, our mission is to unify the physical with the spiritual, to infuse the physical with the spiritual, and even show that in its essence, physicality in itself is spiritual. And that is alluded to in the acronym of the four-letter name of God, tying together the 6 days of work, 6 days of creation, and Shabbat, the day of rest. So I'll just mention that in the Zohar, Shabbat is called Yom Denishmata, the day of the soul. So one might think, well, how should we celebrate Shabbat? It's a day of the soul. So maybe we should just be learning and davening and very little emphasis on the physical world. It's a day of the soul. But if we look at the way that we celebrate Shabbat, it's actually quite physical. We wear our best clothes. We clean our houses. We set our table with our best cutlery. We eat like we don't eat all week and drink like we don't drink all week. We rest more than we usually rest. All these are physical ways of expressing the Shabbat. So this tells us something very, very deep about Shabbat, but more than that, the whole reality of the physical and spiritual worlds, that they are intrinsically tied together. And the fact that we celebrate Shabbat in such a physical way is not a contradiction at all to being told that it's a day of the soul, because the soul expresses itself through thought, speech, and action. And so our expression and our love and appreciation for Shabbat being done in such a physical way is elevating all of the physicality of this world to its spiritual source. So may we always be able to unite the physical and the spiritual and make a unity. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad.